What's up, guys? We have an exciting day today. We had a lot of good video game news. You know, it's a good day to be a gamer, especially a PlayStation gamer, with all the info they dropped today at the PlayStation event. So I don't want to go through the entire thing, but just a couple of the ones that, really stuck out to me. Starting off with the Knights of the Old Republic remake by Asper. Now, I've never played Knights of the Old Republic. I've never been a huge Star Wars person, but I am a huge RPG fan. And so I know this is one of those titles that everybody constantly talks about as being one of their favorite RPGs. So of course it's something I'm gonna have to go back and get and play, especially when it comes out, so that way I can experience what everybody's always talking about as far as, a great Star Wars story. Something else that really stuck out to me, this title, Project Eve. Now, the thing that really stuck out to me about this game is it kind of feels like a mixture of course, Dark Souls, because everything is Dark Souls nowadays, but mainly Devil May Cry. And as somebody who's a huge fan of character action games and thinks, quite frankly, we don't get enough of these nowadays, I'm so happy that we're getting one. The graphics look great. I believe it's running on Unreal 5, so that's yet another title that is coming out of Unreal 5. It's great seeing more and more titles that are coming out that are using Unreal 5, just so that can become the industry norm. And with all of these tech demos that the Unreal team has been putting out, I'm excited to see developers really get their hands on these tools to be able to use them and make these really terrifying, grotesque creatures like you see right now. Like, what in the shit is that thing? Weird angel demon thingamabob. And so yeah, I'm really excited to see. I'm a sucker for Japanese games, so heck yeah, the Project Eve is something I'm super looking forward to. And you can kind of see what I mean by it's a little heavier like Dark Souls, but you still have what looks like flashy combats, very frenetic, very lots of particle effects going on, and it does kind of give you those DMC vibes. So the next thing that stuck out to me in the showcase was, of course, if I can find it, Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Now, I really enjoy the Borderlands games. I'm not saying they're the best things in the world, but they're fun. And I remember, I believe it was for Borderlands 2. There was the DLC that was the Assault on Dragon Keeps by Tiny Tina, or whatever it was called, and it was the Dungeons and Dragons thing. And it's really exciting to see if they can, kind of incorporate some of those mechanics they had, where things would change on the fly and you have people narrating over it, and different enemies would pop up depending on what the dungeon master rolled and stuff like that. Maybe we'll even get a little procedural generation with this game. I'm not sure. I haven't kept too much of an eye on it, but I know when it comes out, I'm definitely going to give it a try, just because Borderlands combat is fun, and why not grab a couple of buddies and play through this really goofy ride. Now, something else that stuck out to me that I know a lot of people are fans of, or they are looking forward to, is this game Forspoken. Now, this is a game that I feel like Square Enix showed a long time ago. Here's my problem. Watching this trailer, I get major vibes of young adult novels made into movies, like Twilight, not saying vampires, but young adult things like that, Divergent and stuff like that, even like certain CW vibes. I think what will be make or break for this game is actually getting my hands on it, seeing what the combat feels like, seeing what the big thing is, the traversal. As you see right there, her hopping around. The combat is something I'm also a little skeptical on. It doesn't look very heavy. Like, it doesn't really look like it has weight, but the traversal does look cool. So I guess we'll have to see. I hope it's not, we're not going to get this super, almost millennial Gen Xer type person, which I know I'm a Gen Xer. That's not my main complaint, but I just hope we don't get a cartoon of a person that is, thrown into this is fish out of water experience. But as you see right there, her swinging around, who knows? Maybe the traversal is good and maybe the combat is good. We see a second later, right around here, well, yeah, there is some type of melee abilities. We'll see what it feels like. Who knows? Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Who can tell until the game releases? Now, of course, the next thing that really popped up on my wire is Ghostwire Tokyo. This is a very interesting and weird development that this game has had, in my opinion. You got Shinji Mikami, who is, of course, was iconic from Resident Evil and The Evil Within, which is one of my personal favorite horror games. And when this game was first shown, it really did look more of a horror game. And then we got some gameplay for it, or a trailer not that long ago, that made it seem more like an action game with horror elements, horror enemy types and stuff like that. But as you see here, it's way more almost like a first-person shooter and I hope it works. I hope it's good, but who knows? I guess we'll see when it comes out. I know there was lots of drama going on, or not necessarily drama, but there was lots of speculation on why there was that very popular developer of that woman that was at the Game Awards. I can't remember her name exactly off the moment, but I know she was working on this team and people were excited about that, and then she left. And so who knows? I can't help but wonder if this game was originally meant to be way more of a horror game in the vein of something like The Evil Within, and over time it just changed into more of an action game. But who knows? Maybe that was for the better. Next up, we have, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. The team that is working on this was the team that worked on Deus Ex Human Revolution, which is a game I'm a huge fan of. I love the vibe of those games. So let's see, maybe, and you kind of get a little bit of like the golden, sci-fi type thing. I know it's a very different genre, but you get what I mean. And the thing that excites me most about this game is I hope it is an Uncharted style Guardians of the Galaxy game. That is the best I can hope for this. We see in this trailer, there are some huge set pieces with ginormous space wells. There's characters. I know there's been demos where you have slight, options in how you speak to people and just conversationally and stuff like that, and somewhat different decisions you can make. Like there was that one demo where it's like, do you want to go in with Groot or do you want to go in with Rocket? So we'll see what type of variability we really get. I think for the most part, people are going to have the same experience. But overall, if they tell me an awesome story with awesome visuals, see, that's something new that we haven't seen, was the space combat. Like maybe there'll be little flying around portions. Who knows? I think it was a great idea for them to focus the game on Peter Quill. It makes it maybe a little more identifiable and or a little more relatable as the players, that we can connect with somebody who is just a human. But who knows? I guess we will find out when this comes out later in October. Now guys, this was my surprise of the show. For those of you that don't know, my name is Logan. My name actually came from, of course, Wolverine, because my dad was in the comics. I have wanted a good Wolverine game since we got Wolverine X-Men Origins on the 360 way back when. And before that, we even had the X2 Wolverine game on the PS2 that were really fun. I've wanted, though, someone to take the modern superhero video game trend and make a good Wolverine game with it. There's so many lessons that Insomniac has probably learned from Spider-Man. They can even take reference from the Arkham games and how to properly structure this comic book game for a modern audience. I know later on when they were talking with one of the developers, they were saying that they want to make an emotional experience. Now, obviously, we're not talking about, it's not going to be The Last of Us we're talking about here, but I hope that they really do give us an interesting story with this. And my personal hopes is that it's up there with Spider-Man. If it's as good as Spider-Man, then I'll be okay. My one request is we have to have an awesome Weapon X sequence. I want a little bit of maybe a flashback or something. Hopefully it's playable, of playing as Wolverine, breaking out of the Weapon X facility. That is one of my favorite moments in comic book history. It's one of the first comic books I ever read, and I really, really, really hope Insomniac pulls this off. It is already at the top as one of my most anticipated games to come out. Now guys, this is another one that is really high up on my radar. I was really excited when I first saw this trailer because I had the idea that it was an Infamous game. Turns out it's not. It was the sequel to Spider-Man that everybody knew was coming. And of course, everybody had kind of an idea that the next big Spider-Man sequel was going to be him and Miles. And there were lots of rumors and stuff, and even I theorized myself that the next enemy would be villain, but I thought maybe they saved that for a third one. Maybe they want that to be a huge event that they do, and maybe they save it for later on down the road. But it's not what it looks like here, guys. It looks like we're gonna hit Venom off right with the sequel, which is super exciting. Venom, one of the most iconic looking bad guys in comic book history, in my opinion. So it is really exciting to see how Insomniac does this, how they change it up and add their own formula, because, you know, Insomniac Spider-Man in a lot of ways is unique and has its own flair while also paying homage to what came before. And so it's interesting to see what they do with Venom. And I mean, if you look right there, just give me a second. Oh, missed it. And if we just look at how he looks a little bit different. You know, the eyes are a little more tall and things like that. So I'm really excited to see story-wise what they do. I know there were hints and stuff like that. Spoilers, if you haven't played Spider-Man 3, 2, 1, we have the end credit scene where like Harry was supposed to be away, but he actually has cancer. So maybe they had the symbiote to try to heal him. Kind of a lot of referencing from like the Ultimate Spider-Man, where the symbiote was like a lab experiment to help cure cancer made by, I believe it was Peter and Norman Osborn. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, of course. But overall, this is one that's really high on my list of, anticipated titles. Not quite as high as Wolverine, but high up there. And of course, folks, how do we talk about PlayStation and not talk about God of War? This is it. We finally are getting footage of the sequel of God of War, one of the biggest games of the PS4 generation. And now, I'm going to be honest, really didn't blow my socks off. In a lot of ways, it looks like more God of War. Not a bad thing at all, but maybe, in future trailers, we'll get a little more spice, a little more variability from the first one. I did notice throughout here that you see a point where Kratos has a different shield. We see Atreus is a little older. We're following the storyline from where the second one ended off. If you haven't played God of War, spoilers, of course, you find out that Atreus is actually Loki, and where that's going to end up. We're getting some callbacks, of course, with Freya here from the first one. She's back, probably revenge for Baldur, but, we're going to see how it plays out. And if you notice, when she attacked right there, the shield breaks a little bit. Maybe that is the reason that we get another one, because she breaks this one. And so I hope there is a way to interchange shields. Maybe that's a new mechanic. Maybe it's a new way to upgrade things. And I hope we're not just stuck with one shield, one axis, and stuff like that. I'm sure there will be new weapons involved, because that's such an iconic piece of God of War history, is of course having multiple weapons throughout the series and throughout the game. A really exciting thing that we saw also, folks, was of course towns. There's more people. One of my complaints with the original God of War that we had in 2014, I believe, was that there was like 4 characters total. There was really nobody in the world. I get it that they were out in the woods and stuff, but it would have been nice to see at least a couple of more people, and we are definitely getting that with this one this time around. There are people to talk to, probably shopkeepers. I hope there are NPCs in towns and things like that. Overall, I'm just really excited to finish this story that Cory Barlog has started on. I don't remember if this is going to be a trilogy. I know Cory Barlog has mentioned that, but overall, we're going to see where this goes. Exactly. See right there, you get with Thor. That was a thread that, I'm really excited to follow through and see where it goes. Overall, this is one of the most hyped games coming out, probably ever for PlayStation. It's a huge IP that they have now, and I'm sure that they're going to kill it. With that being said, guys, I want to know, what was your favorite moment from the Sony event? Are you excited for Spider-Man? Are you excited for Wolverine? Are you most excited for God of War? Or are you like me, or are you really excited for something new, potentially like Project Eve? Let me know in the comments below, guys, and thanks for watching.